Hey guys, Nathan down here at ZIMM'S Guitars. I brought in another cool old vintage guitar today, so come in and check it out.
All right, bro, open that thing up. Let's take a look.
So as you can see, the case is small, but it's not as small as that lap steel that I brought in.
Right.
And it's got the tan Tolex on it, pre-CBS.
Pre-CBS.
It is a 1959 MusicMaster. And just like the lap steel, this thing is all original, except for the strings.
1959.
1959.
I'm almost that old.
This desert sand finish, so it's almost the same finish as well as on that lap steel as well.
Original paint?
Original paint.
All original, huh?
All original.
Every
man.
screw?
Every single thing on the guitar,
Every
except
fret?
for the strings.
Except for the strings.
Which I can't play
Could you imagine?
60-year-old strings, man.
Could
And
you
I'm pretty
imagine
sure they
that?
came with a wound G string on them too, which I'm not about that.
Right, right.
But gold anodized pickguard. These don't warp since they're made out of metal. Pretty sure they're aluminum. You have your single coil pickup in the neck position. It is not in the same position as your Strat. As you can see, it's a little further from the neck and it's angled. No bridge pickup. This is a single pickup guitar like an Esquire or Melody Maker.
So single pickup. So what's the difference between these things and a dual sonic?
A Duosonic is the exact same thing, but it'd have a 3-way toggle switch right here and a bridge pickup.
That's exactly the only thing. The body and everything.
Exactly the same thing. This body is routed for a Duosonic. Just like the Esquires that only have a bridge pickup are routed like a Tele for a neck pickup.
Right.
The Duosonic and the MusicMaster are the exact same body, except for the MusicMaster only gets one pickup and no switch, and the Duosonic gets a switch and 2 pickups. The pickup is the exact same as a Stratocaster pickup from the 1950s, except for it has flat pull pieces instead of staggered pull pieces. And it does come with a plastic cover over it. They did go through several variations of finishes on the MusicMasters throughout the late 50s and early 60s. They started in 56, if I remember correctly, and they had a desert sand finish with a black pickguard on them. Then this is the second color combination that you have. Desert sand with the gold anodized pickguard and the white or cream colored plastic pickup cover. And then you go to the second desert sand finish, which is actually a little bit darker of a desert sand, and it has a white pickguard with a brown pickup cover. And then in the 60s, they also started doing one of those cherry sunburst finishes, and later on, that was pretty much the end of the MusicMaster. They also did a short run with brown pickguards on them too, but this one you have a maple neck. Since this is a 59, this was the transitional year between maple and rosewood necks.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I did pop the neck on this one, and it's dated February of 1959 on the heel. So I don't want to say it's one of the last with the maple neck, because they did continue maple necks on a little bit past February. But
how many of these guitars were built that year, approximately?
I don't know.
Couple hundred. Probably at the most.
Probably,
huh?
But these were the student models. You know, Gibson had the Les Paul Jr.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a Les Paul Jr., except for this has a short scale on it, 22.5 inches.
22.5.
Which is about 2 inches shorter than a Strat or a Tele, and you could definitely feel the difference. But what makes it a lot better is if you put some fat strings on it.
What string gauge are you using?
I have NYXL 11 to 52s on it right now, and tuned to E standard, which my Strat I keep in D standard. You know, I tune it down a whole step so I can play like some Hendrix stuff on it, and I use the same string gauge. And the tension's about the same as my Strat when it's tuned down, because the short scale and the fat strings kind of balance each other out, you know. Just like a Mustang, you know, everyone likes to put fat strings on those, or a Jaguar or whatever. But this has an even shorter scale on it. And the nut is pretty small. It's like 1.5 inches. So it's even a little bit smaller than the narrow nuts on the Gibsons from the late 60s. But the thing is that the neck is actually kind of thick for how small it is. So that also kind of balances it out. You know, it's super comfortable to play. Like I said, with the fat strings on it, you can sit on the couch and just pluck away at this thing for hours, you know. And luckily for me, it doesn't, my hands, I wouldn't say I have huge hands, you know. They're pretty average size, I guess, but they don't like get cramped up on the neck or anything, you know. If you're playing a Strat all day and then you switch to this, it might feel a little bit different. But if you pick this up first, you know, it's not that bad. It plays pretty great.
Is that a one-piece neck, or does it have the maple fretboard?
No, this is a one-piece neck. And the way that you could tell is because it has a skunk stripe on the back.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
The maple cap necks don't have a skunk stripe on the back. Just like a rosewood neck wouldn't have a skunk stripe on the back. So it's a one-piece maple neck. And like I said, it's actually pretty thick neck. You know, I wouldn't say it's super thin. It's definitely not a baseball bat. But especially down here past, you know, the 7th fret, it definitely starts to get a little chunky. But
and the neck is in great condition as far as the fingerboard.
Yeah, it is.
For nitro finish?
It is nitro finish, and it's very thin finish. You could tell up here on the 2nd fret that it's definitely been played a little bit, but that's hardly anything. You know, you play this thing for a good couple weeks, and you'll have more spots that look like that, maybe even worse, you know, if you're playing every day for a couple weeks. Because the finish on these is so thin that it just wears out like crazy.
Right.
You know, this has small frets on it because it is a 50s Fender guitar. And, you know, those vintage frets are pretty narrow. But it still plays fine, you know. Like I said, they're small, but they don't fret out. You know, I don't think whoever had this really played it that much. Just because that finish on the neck is just... This is the only wear
that you have.
That finish on the neck is just too good of condition.
It's in great shape.
You know, and you can tell it's the original finish. The way it's sitting in the wood, you know, it sinks down into the neck. Just like on the body. Like if you look at it in the right light, there's not a lot of checking on the finish, but you can see that it sinks into the grain. You know, there's hardly any checking.
They didn't use grain filler back then.
There's hardly any checking on it, actually. But it sinks into the finish. Or the finish sinks into the grain. And, you know, it's hard to fake that. You could check a guitar. You know, you can relic it. But it's hard to get that sunken in finish, you know. And
did it have a guard?
Bridge cover?
Yeah, bridge cover.
Yeah, these did come with a bridge cover. I don't have it.
Little tiny mini ashtray looking thing.
Yeah, it's like the same as what would come on a Strat, but I think it's a bit smaller.
Oh, yeah.
But you could see the tabs for it on the side of the bridge. And if you look closely on the pickguard, you can actually see a little bit of the gold paint is worn away right where that ashtray bridge cover would sit.
I see that.
And the radius on these is like 7.5 or something like that.
7 1/4 maybe.
Yeah, something.
I got a little
there.
radius gauge. If you want, we can stick a radius gauge on it.
We'll check it out. But you know, it's got that vintage radius on it. But it doesn't fret out anywhere.
It's like the PRS Silver Sky, same radius.
Yeah, okay, whatever you want to say, man. But you have this the tan case with the reddish orange interior. I'd say that this is more red. It does kind of look a little orange in the right light.
Say orange, man.
But not quite as orange as the interior that was on that lap steel case that we just showed. But
right.
But you know.
You got your original handle here?
I think it is.
Man,
I could be mistaken.
Good shit.
But you know, considering the rest of the condition and everything else, I wouldn't be surprised. But you know, you have your spaghetti logo up here that just says MusicMaster.
Yeah.
Same headstock shape and even size, if I'm not mistaken, as the you know, 50 Strat. You have your single line Clouson tuners with the plastic buttons on them.
Plastic or ivory?
I wouldn't say they're ivory. Probably plastic. You could see they kind of are wearing away on the side.
Yeah.
One thing about the MusicMasters and Duosonics of the time was this little hole right here. Little pinhole, dowel hole, whatever you want to call it, on the back of the headstock. Believe there's also one on the heel of the neck between all the 4 screw holes. And what that is that's what they mounted the neck on when they were doing their finishing. You know, so that they didn't have to hang it or whatever. It's just like the pinholes that you'll find all over the Stratocaster and Tele bodies and stuff like that.
Right.
Because these bodies, they've finished the entire thing inside the neck pocket and everything. Later in the 60s, they started hanging the bodies by the neck pocket. So that's why if you look at a Strat or something from the 60s, inside the neck pocket, the whole thing won't be covered with paint. Only about half of it is covered because they get a paint stick and they hang the bodies from the neck pocket. But earlier, they would just set them on these pins when they would finish them. So that's why you get the nail holes on the bodies. Same thing with the necks here. They have a hole there and a hole back down here. One thing that I did notice about this guitar is that the serial number on it starts with a 1. So it's -193, which you would think is a little earlier than 59. But the thing about the Fender neck plates is that they're pretty much just thrown in a bin whenever they got a shipment of them. They weren't sequential order, right? So you can have 1936 whatever, 67. This one's 19367, but 19368 could have been built like 4 or 5 months apart.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But you know, I have a couple buddies that have old MusicMasters as well, and theirs start with a 3. This one starts with a 1. So I bought this on Reverb.
A Reverb, huh?
I did.
Sale.
Yep. And you know, it was advertised as a 59, but it didn't have pictures of the neck date on it. It just kind of had pictures of the guitar. You know, no pictures under the guard, no pictures of the neck date. So I saw that number, and I was like, okay, that's probably a little earlier than a 59, because then the serial number starts with the 1. So sure enough, when I got it, I did pop the neck off of it. Like I said,
I bet that was a scary day, huh?
Yeah, you know, I don't want to say I'm one of those guys that won't do it, because I will.
Right.
You know, especially with a 50s guitar, you want to make sure that you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely paid a market value on this. I didn't get it for a steal.
No smoking deal, huh?
No smoking deal on this one, but I couldn't be happier with the purchase. So, you know, I took
And
the neck off.
you're a young guy. Think about 10, 20 years from now. You're still going to have this thing.
So,
right.
Like I said in the last video, I'm trying to be more intentional with my purchases. So, you know, I'm getting stuff that I'm planning on holding on to forever. So I did pop the neck on it. It's dated February 59. The pots are dated late 58. I think like the 40-something week of 1958. They're stack pull pots, which are correct.
250K?
I don't remember. Honestly, didn't really look. I just looked at I think it's covered in solder, the value. But luckily I could see the dates on them, and it's like 304, 8, 42, something like that.
Well, let's do, let me get my radius gauge. Let's look at the radius, and let's ohm out the pickup. All right, so we've got the radius gauge at the 12th, well, 13th, 14th fret, and it's showing us 7 1/4. All right, let's see what it ohms out at.
Oh, we're at
6.18.
Hotter
Good.
than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
All right, so we're checking the impedance on this neck pickup here. And as you can see, it is
6.18. That's pretty good.
It's hotter than I thought it was going to be. This is definitely a killer little pickup. You know, a lot of people say that theirs have weak pickups on them because the flat pole pieces
Right.
and the plastic cover on it,
Right.
where the poles don't stick out, you know, like a Strat. But the thing is that you can adjust the height on these, and like when I got it, it was pretty low, and it did sound a little weak, you know.
Did you raise the
And I
pickup?
just raised it up a little bit, and it fucking sounds great now.
Awesome.
You know, and you know, it's 6.18 kilo ohms. So
You can live with that.
yeah, it's like a perfectly fine output.
Nice.
You know, I think a vintage Strat is gonna run you around the same, maybe even a little less, 5 point something K. And you know, like I said, it's the same pickup with flat pull pieces on it. So it's not like you're getting some cheap pickup with it. You know, you're getting all the same parts, telly knobs on it, the same pots, you know, same pickup, same lacquer. Everything's there, man.
Really
It's built
cool.
in
Really
the
cool.
factory with the same standards, just that it's a little bit smaller scale. All right, so we're gonna play the MusicMaster. We're just going straight into a custom Vibrolux reverb, with a little bit of reverb on it. And the cool thing about these is that the way that you pick and where you pick really makes a big difference on the tone. You could be picking up on the neck here. Or if you're picking down closer to the bridge, it's going to give you a brighter tone, which is nice since you don't have a bridge pickup. Thanks for checking it out. 59 MusicMaster, pre-CBS Fender.
Nathan, thank you.
No problem.
See you.